When Chinese immigrants arrived in America's western boomtowns during the 1800s, food was more than nourishment. It was survival, identity, and comfort in an unfamiliar land. These communities formed around mining camps, railroad towns, and rapidly growing cities where opportunity came with discrimination, danger, and isolation. Most Chinese immigrants came from southern China, especially Guangdong province. They brought with them cooking traditions shaped by rice farming, seasonal vegetables, preserved foods, and resourceful use of every ingredient. In America's boomtowns, familiar ingredients were scarce, expensive, or unavailable. Adaptation was necessary. Rice remained the foundation of daily meals whenever possible. It was filling, portable, and affordable when purchased in bulk through community networks. Chinese merchants quickly became essential figures, importing rice, tea, dried mushrooms, soy sauce, and preserved vegetables to serve immigrant neighborhoods. Vegetables grown locally such as cabbage, onions, turnips, and greens were adapted into Chinese-style stir-fries and soups. Cooking methods mattered more than exact ingredients. High heat, quick cooking, and careful seasoning transformed unfamiliar produce into comforting meals. One of the most common dishes was simple rice paired with stir-fried vegetables and bits of pork or dried fish. Meat was used sparingly. Flavor came from technique, not abundance. Broths were reused, vegetables were never wasted, and leftovers became next-day meals. Noodles were another staple, though wheat flour was not always easy to obtain. When possible, hand-pulled noodles or cut noodles were prepared and served in hot broth. These meals were especially popular in colder mining regions where warmth was essential. Pork was the most common meat, often salted or dried for preservation. Chinese immigrants were known for using cuts. Americans discarded feet, ears, skin, and bones. These parts added flavor and nutrition to soups and stews, stretching limited resources. Fish, when available, played a major role. Dried fish imported from China or locally caught fish were steamed, fried, or added to rice dishes. In coastal boomtowns, seafood became central to daily cooking. Tea was consumed constantly. It was believed to be healthier than untreated water, and it offered comfort during long workdays. Tea houses became social centers where news, letters, and meals were shared. Despite stereotypes spread by newspapers of the time, Chinese kitchens were often cleaner and more organized than surrounding camps. Cooking was structured, communal, and disciplined skills developed long before arriving in America. Food also helped preserve culture. Meals followed familiar rhythms. Holidays included traditional dishes, and recipes were passed orally among workers. In a world that treated them as outsiders, food reminded Chinese immigrants who they were. These early dishes laid the foundation for Chinese-American cuisine. What began as survival cooking in boomtowns would eventually influence American food culture itself. Life in America's western boomtowns was harsh, especially for Chinese immigrant laborers working in mines, on railroads, and in service jobs others avoided. Their food had to be practical, nourishing, and inexpensive. Everyday meals were designed to fuel long hours of physical labor while using whatever ingredients were available. Breakfast was usually simple. Leftover rice from the night before was reheated or turned into rice porridge, known as congee. Congee was made by simmering rice in water until soft and filling. It could stretch a small amount of rice to feed many people. When available, bits of salted vegetables, dried fish, or pickled mustard greens were added for flavor. Midday meals were often packed and eaten near work sites. Rice wrapped in cloth or placed in simple containers was common. Workers added small portions of stir-fried vegetables or preserved meats. These meals were meant to be eaten quickly and provide steady energy rather than indulgence. Dinner was the most important meal of the day. After exhausting shifts, Chinese workers gathered to cook communally. Cooking together saved fuel, time, and money. One or two skilled cooks prepared meals for many, practice rooted in village life back home. Stir-fried dishes dominated evening meals. Cabbage, bok choy, onions, and local greens were sliced thin and cooked over high heat. A small amount of pork fat or oil was enough to flavor an entire dish. Garlic, ginger, and soy sauce, when available, transformed plain vegetables into satisfying meals. Soups were essential. Broth made from pork bones or fish heads simmered for hours, extracting every bit of nutrition. Vegetables, tofu, or noodles were added depending on availability. Soup was often served alongside rice, providing warmth and hydration. Noodles appeared when wheat flour could be obtained. In some camps, Chinese cooks learned to adapt American flour into familiar noodle styles. Noodle soups were especially valued in cold mountain regions where miners faced freezing temperatures. Meat was never wasted. Leftover scraps were chopped finely and mixed with vegetables. Organs and bones that Americans discarded became prized ingredients. These practices were sometimes mocked by outsiders, but they reflected deep culinary knowledge and respect for resources. Eggs were used carefully. A single egg might be shared among several people, stirred into soup, or fried with vegetables to add protein. Even small additions made a difference in diets built around hard labor. Seasoning was subtle but effective. Salt, fermented sauces, and dried ingredients added depth. Chinese cooks relied on balance rather than excess. Meals were filling without being heavy, designed to sustain workers through another demanding day. Food also provided emotional relief. Sharing meals allowed workers to speak their language freely, exchange news from home, and support one another. These gatherings helped preserve mental well-being in an environment often marked by hostility and isolation. Despite discrimination and limited resources, Chinese immigrant food culture in boomtowns was resilient. These meals were not luxurious, but they were thoughtful, efficient, and rooted in centuries of tradition. The everyday dishes eaten in mining camps and railroad towns became the backbone of Chinese American foodways, quietly shaping tastes that would later enter mainstream American dining. As Western boomtowns grew, Chinese immigrants began opening cookhouses, boarding kitchens, and small restaurants. At first, these food businesses mainly served other Chinese workers. Over time, however, they became essential to the wider boomtown economy, feeding miners, railroad crews, and townspeople when few others would. Chinese-run cookhouses were known for efficiency. Meals were hot, filling, and affordable. In many mining camps, Chinese cooks were hired to prepare food for entire crews, including non-Chinese workers. Their ability to cook for large groups with limited supplies made them highly valued, even by those who otherwise held prejudices. Menus in these cookhouses were practical. Rice was served daily. Vegetables were plentiful, often fresher than those available elsewhere, because Chinese gardeners cultivated land near camps and towns. These gardens supplied cabbage, onions, greens, beans, and squash, ensuring a steady food supply. Meat dishes were simple but flavorful. Pork stews, fried pork with vegetables, and bone-based soups were common. Beef, more familiar to American customers, was sometimes substituted into Chinese cooking methods, creating early fusion dishes long before the term existed. Noodles became popular among non-Chinese customers. Served in broth or stir-fried, they were filling and inexpensive. Many miners came to prefer noodle dishes over bread-heavy meals because they provided sustained energy during long shifts. Chow mein-style dishes began appearing during this period, though they were very different from modern versions. These early forms used simple noodles, vegetables, and small amounts of meat, cooked quickly over high heat. They reflected Chinese techniques adapted to American ingredients. Fried rice also emerged as a practical dish. It allowed cooks to use leftover rice, vegetables, and scraps of meat. For non-Chinese diners, fried rice was approachable, familiar enough to try, yet different enough to feel exotic. Tea continued to be served with meals. Some American customers initially resisted it, preferring coffee or whiskey, but many came to appreciate tea for its warmth and digestibility. Despite growing popularity, Chinese restaurants often faced hostility. They were sometimes accused unfairly of unsanitary practices, even when their kitchens were cleaner than competitors. These accusations were rooted in racism rather than reality, and were used to justify exclusion laws and violence. Nevertheless, food built quiet bridges. Customers who regularly eat at Chinese cookhouses learned to appreciate the skill, discipline, and consistency of Chinese cooks. Respect grew at the table even when it was absent elsewhere. By feeding boomtowns, Chinese immigrants shaped local food culture. Their restaurants introduced Americans to new flavors, textures, and eating styles. Meals that began as survival food gradually became shared experiences. These early restaurants laid the groundwork for Chinese-American cuisine. What started as community cooking evolved into a culinary presence that would spread far beyond Western boomtowns. Food became both livelihood and legacy, one bowl of rice, one plate of noodles at a time. In the harsh environment of America's Western boomtowns, food was more than daily sustenance for Chinese immigrants. It was a form of cultural resistance. Through food, traditions were preserved, identities protected, and communities strengthened in the face of exclusion and discrimination. Festivals played a crucial role in maintaining cultural continuity. Lunar New Year was the most important celebration. Even in remote mining camps, special dishes were prepared despite limited ingredients. Dumplings symbolized wealth and unity, while long noodles represented longevity. When traditional ingredients were unavailable, substitutes were used, but the meaning remained intact. Rice cakes and sweetened buns were made during celebrations whenever possible. Sugar was expensive, so sweets were rare and meaningful. Sharing these treats reinforced bonds within the community and offered brief moments of joy in otherwise difficult lives. Ancestor remembrance was also reflected in food practices. Simple offerings of rice, tea, or fruit were made during important dates. These rituals helped immigrants stay connected to family members left behind or lost during the journey to America. Food preparation itself followed traditional principles. Knife skills, cooking order, and respect for balance were carefully maintained. Even in cramped kitchens or makeshift cookhouses, cooks adhered to techniques learned long before migration. Communal meals were especially important during festivals. Workers pooled resources to create dishes no individual could afford alone. These gatherings reminded everyone that they were not alone, even in hostile surroundings. Food also helped younger generations learn cultural values. Children born in America learned Chinese customs at the dinner table. Language, etiquette, and respect for elders were passed down alongside meals. At the same time, Chinese food in boomtowns quietly influenced local culture. Some festival dishes were shared with non-Chinese neighbors, introducing them to unfamiliar traditions. While prejudice remained strong, food created moments of curiosity and mutual respect. However, cultural expression through food was not without risk. Anti-Chinese laws and violence made public celebrations dangerous in some towns. In response, communities adapted by holding smaller, private gatherings. Food allowed traditions to continue discreetly. Cooking also served as emotional healing. Preparing familiar dishes eased homesickness and grief. The act of cooking itself, washing rice, chopping vegetables, stirring soup, connected immigrants to memories of home. Chinese women, though fewer in number, played important roles in preserving culinary traditions within family settings. They maintained household food customs and ensured that cultural knowledge survived beyond labor camps. By maintaining food traditions, Chinese immigrants resisted erasure. They refused to let hardship strip them of identity. Each shared meal was an act of endurance and quiet defiance. These traditions ensured that Chinese food in America remained rooted in heritage, not just adaptation. The cultural strength developed in boomtown kitchens would shape future generations and contribute to the lasting presence of Chinese cuisine in American life. The food Chinese immigrants cooked in America's western boomtowns did more than feed hungry workers, it created a lasting culinary legacy. What began as survival cooking under extreme hardship slowly evolved into a distinct food culture that would shape American dining for generations. As boomtowns stabilized and cities grew, Chinese cooks adapted further. Ingredients became more available, and some restrictions eased. Dishes that were once purely practical began to reflect comfort and creativity. The foundations laid in mining camps and railroad towns became the roots of Chinese American cuisine. Techniques such as stir-frying, steaming, and braising entered American kitchens. Rice and noodles, once unfamiliar, became staples. Even the concept of communal dining influenced how meals were shared. These contributions came from people who were often denied basic rights, yet whose food was quietly embraced. Second-generation Chinese Americans played a key role in this transition. Growing up between cultures, they adapted family recipes to suit American tastes while preserving essential techniques. This balance allowed Chinese food to reach wider audiences without losing its soul. Restaurants expanded beyond immigrant neighborhoods. Dishes like chow mein and fried rice, originally born from necessity, became widely known. Though often simplified, they carried traces of their boomtown origins: efficient, filling, and adaptable. Despite this influence, it's important to remember the context. These foods were created in environments marked by discrimination, violence, and exclusion laws. Their survival is a testament to resilience. Every dish represents effort, patience, and refusal to disappear. Today, when we enjoy Chinese American food, we are tasting history. We are tasting adaptation under pressure, community support, and cultural endurance. The kitchens of Western boomtowns may be gone, but their impact remains. Preserving these stories matters. Food history helps us understand who built America and how culture survives against odds. These dishes deserve recognition not as novelty, but as foundational contributions. By learning what Chinese immigrants actually ate, we honor their reality, not myths or stereotypes. We recognize food as both sustenance and storytelling. If this journey through history helped you see familiar dishes in a new way, help us keep these stories alive. Like this video to support historical food storytelling. Subscribe for more untold food histories. Comment below, which dish surprised you the most? Because every bowl has a story, and every story deserves to be remembered.